Hello everybody, welcome back to Cornbelt, beautiful map made by Caster for Farming Simulator 17. I say beautiful, it's also huge. This is a 16x map and really more than what could be done by a single player, but I don't care. I'm doing it anyhow. It's early spring, and you'll notice most of the snow has disappeared, except for piles, you know, where it was piled up as we moved it for, transporting around in winter. You can kind of see the streaks where the snowblower kind of deposited it. I'm really frustrated, though, if I'm honest. I'm glad I have most of my crops in the ground. You can see a sea of yellow over here. It's just a massive field of canola in full bloom. And I'm on the 7th day of spring, and you can see what the ground temp is. I'm not able to plant. You know, if I open the seasons menu here, I'm not 100% sure what I'll put in. Possibly some cereal grains here. Maybe canola. I mean, it with the timing here of just 9-day seasons, and maybe I need to bump it up to longer, 12-day or something. I really don't hardly have enough, you know, with how I'm kind of running this. And maybe, you know, this just comes to me right now. Maybe what I should do is bump it up. There's a lot to do. Now, how much would it let us do back here? 21, 24. You know, that reminds me. I know some of my YouTube friends have. There was once a challenge I saw for 24-day seasons. That just seems like a terrible amount. And maybe I'll put it to 12 for the moment. I'm kind of curious to see if I can get the temperature up to where it needs to be. And I don't know what day this is gonna. This is gonna put us on day 9. It's still 36. So if we look at the weather here, I guess I have 3 more days to spring. 10, 11, 12 after this one. Surely by then. See, the problem is I'm hoping to get the temp up to at least 41, and it's only recently, you know, I was on day 7. I had to fast forward it a ton just to get rid of a bunch of snow, you know, clear to the latter part of spring. And, you know, I wonder if it means in part that this is one area that I'm not going to say it's broken in the Seasons mod. It maybe just wasn't designed to handle it, or maybe the settings in the particular map are off. You know, if it's in the Midwest part of the country, they can have cold winters, and so maybe it's just simulating a slow starting up of spring here. But anyway, I like kind of how this looked, you know, with this train kind of sitting here peacefully between these trees. I still at some point probably need to fix, speaking of trees, the ones kind of right around here. They don't lose their leaves in the winter, and I think they just were never set up to do so. It's probably more trouble than it's worth, but I don't know, maybe at some point I'll do it. It just kind of looks odd when we go through winter and all these trees still have their leaves on them. Anyway, let me cycle through kind of some of the, here's all the trains. And as you may recall, we hauled a whole bunch of canola, or maybe it was canola, down to the, here we go, this is what I'm after, down to the refinery. And so now that we have it down there, we need to haul it into the refinery proper. So I think what I will do is take a truck down. Maybe, you know what? I wonder if this is the one that I want. Let me see what the capacity of this is. That doesn't really say what the capacity is, but let me see. Does it have nothing in it? I am going to take this down. It's a little bit easier maneuvering around here now that we have all of the snow kind of getting out of Dodge. I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, the field straight ahead is one we planted, and looks like it's coming along nicely. You know, it wasn't until we got to 19 that we started having things like weeds, in addition to the fertilization. But I do know there was a modding friend of mine who did some tinkering with weeds in Farm Sim 17. Or actually, I mean, he was he was pretty sensitive about being called a modder. So I'm not going to say his name, but for whatever reason, he never wanted to be known as a modder. Anyways, we don't have weeds, which is a good thing. Looks like the grass is already growing, things are greening up for spring, and what I really should do is, let me see, where's a home to the refinery? I guess I got 2 lanes and there's no traffic to speak of, so I can just kind of scroll on through this while I try to drive. Home to oil refinery. There we go. Bing. There we go. Perfecto. Stop at the last one. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I'm going to get rid of my forecast because we'll just let him go for the moment. This is back over by our sheep. We don't need to do anything there. Here's where I'd really like to be, and you can see there's a huge field. This is the largest field on the map, and it's primed, it's ready. I mean, it was worked last fall. Actually, let me just hop out of this here. We'll run over to our field and check the dirt. It should be all ready to go, and maybe, yeah, it was cultivated. I think that's the last thing we did. You know, I'm not a real-life farmer, and kind of in our area, we're used to having, you know, if you're going to put in wheat, for example, probably 9 times out of 10, and even higher than that, it's going to be a fall plant, at least from what I've observed in this area. There may be some spring planting, but I haven't seen much of it yet. So a lot of times it just goes in the fall, and if I would have had time, that's exactly what I would have done with this field here. You know, I would have planted it before wintering, and it's arguably the largest field on the map. It cost a fortune, you know, when we got it, and I mean, it is just huge. You know, remember, this is a 16x map, so this single field is larger than the standard size map, so it's more than 2 kilometer by 2 kilometer basically. So we're going to be spending quite a bit of quality time in this field. Wouldn't that make one whale of a video to show the planting process of it? So, and I know, like I've expressed before and have said, this is one of the greatest screensavers that was ever made. You know, Courseplay, what a wonderful blessing. It kind of just takes care of it, and really the only thing I have to do is to make sure I can, you know, continue to feed it seeds and whatnot. And I kind of think it's already at the full level of fertilization. So I don't even know, let me just go make sure. I don't even know that I need to put in any more nitrogen. Let me get to the proper, let me get rid of the plowing. Yeah, see, it's the dark blue, so it's already at the 3rd stage of fertilization, as are all of my fields, you know, the ones in green here. And it's been long enough ago, I can't remember just how I did all that. I think it was kind of fertilizing in between tillage and everything just to get it ready. So, you know, by all rights, that probably was a foolish thing to do for a field like this. That's what I say, if someone ever looks at this who's a real-life farmer, how do you overwinter it if you're going to plant in the spring? You know, maybe putting all that nitrogen on the field is just an open invitation to every weed you can imagine that as soon as things start greening up, you know, maybe the weeds go whoopee, and they take all that nitrogen and put it into themselves instead of it waiting for the plants you really want to have. But anyway, this is where I'd like to get, is getting our four-wheel drive tractor going out here and planting something. You know, what do I even have? I'm not even sure I have it set up for what I wanted to do. Is on barley. Well, barley's probably good enough. I don't even remember what I have. I've tended to do a ton of canola because, you know, I've been feeding this refinery down here, and it's taken a lot of canola. I know it'll take some soybeans. For whatever reason, I've just opted to do canola instead. So you'll see, I mean, here's another large field that's next door. There is just a ton of canola that we've grown. This now and here is all barley. I've had a small little bit of sugar beets here. I used to have a bunch of animals. Maybe I'll get those back at some point. Oh, looks like our truck is getting down there close to arriving. But I think this time you may recall that we have a brewery sitting up here, and I think it takes sugar beets, so I may haul those up here. I've already taken them barrels, and we need to also supply them water, but that's probably what I'll do with them this year. And have some wheat up here, but otherwise still a boatload of canola. So, you know what? I think our truck has arrived, and we'll just hop down there, if I can toggle there. What a useful tool, course play. Now, it does have its limitations, I must say. So then, now that I'm down here at the oil refinery, let's see, grain to F. Is that the one I want? Oil refinery, grain to, Well, let me get that one. Let me see. It's a circuit around here, and it comes over, I believe it picks it up over there. So we are going to use this one. I want a transport mode. I want it to pick up canola. And let me just see if I can outline the course so I can get him turned around. I don't want to go through the whole circuit back here. We'll see a limitation that Courseplay has. And again, I would be really grateful if somebody knows a way around this. It goes, and as we'll see here, it picks grain up, no problem. But the issue I have is in the dumping of the grain. It doesn't seem to want to auto dump it on its own. And so while it's somewhat helpful having the route, you know, so I don't have to do everything, although I'm sitting here at the moment, I could drive it. So while that part is helpful, it does require me to babysit it a little bit and keep coming back to it, because it's going to sit over there on that trigger, you know, where it's going to dump the canola, but it doesn't dump it. It just sits there, and it waits until the player, me, you know, does something to activate it so that it can dump. So here, though, I believe it will pick up the canola okay. Yeah, so that's exactly what it's doing. It's taking it in. You may recall the last episode or the one before, I don't recall. We dumped off a ton of canola over here with the train, brought it from the main farm. Now we're going to take it over here. And I didn't tell it to do anything. It picked it up all on its own based on the mode that we're in. I don't know if you can see it anymore here. It's in a route that we previously set up, of course. And so it's just kind of following it here, and we'll take it over to the trigger that it's supposed to go to. And we'll see it kind of stop short. I do like seeing, I mean, one effect of the Seasons mod here is how it melts snow, and I do like to see the little piles. It's just, I think it's somewhat unrealistic to have them in late spring still with piles of snow around. I think in real life they'd be gone long before that. Unless you were way up in the mountains or something. So this is going to go around a little bit, and then we're going to hang a hard right between the buildings, as I recall. And it's going to perch on top of this trigger. And I think there is or would be a way to unload it. The trouble is it isn't going to unload it in the trigger. That's the problem. It will dump it in a pile. Oh, okay. I think if I stop, let me see, it will take it. Oh, come on. Go forward a little bit. That looks hokey. Unless that's part of the problem. Maybe my... There we go. See, we're getting full of canola. And that is going to trigger. We've got all that oil sitting in there ready to go. So now this little bit of canola in there is going to allow it to start processing and creating fuel. And also, we'll drive by it over here, but it's going to take an output, and I don't remember what the output was. Maybe it's compost? Don't remember exactly. But I'm trying to remember what in the original map the player would do with the compost. Yeah, see, this is babysitting. I gotta dump it, and I gotta tell it to continue, and it'll continue. I mean, it will go, and it will return here with another load. Yeah, the compost, or whatever it is coming over here, goes into that silo, and we've got another route we can pick it up. I think I created a place to sell it. Maybe a place to use it. I don't remember exactly. I've made a number of changes to this here, and I can't even remember. It's been over such a long period of time, that I've played on this map. And therein would be a question too for any of you watching. This here, I mean, I don't even want to say how many hours are on it. Mostly unattended hours, I would add, meaning just playing in the background, if you will, kind of doing its thing on course play. When you set up course play for a harvest, and you have units unloading your harvesters, you have trucks hauling it away, as long as it's set up properly, a lot of times, I mean, you could literally run that all night long, assuming you got a field big enough, and you may get up in the morning and it's still going just like how it's supposed to. But yeah, I mean, there's some things like this you just can't. But over time, as you work on a map, and there's things I've done to this map, there's mods I've added, things I've done it here, and I can't even remember. I've played this map for probably, let me see here. This is Farm Sim 17, which would have come to us in the fall of 16, right? So, it probably was in 18 that I learned about this map. So this is 2023. So that's a few years ago. And for a while, because the harvest was just long, it took forever, was exhausting, if you will. I think I said in a previous episode, it took literally 220 some hours to do a harvest, with a single harvester. I mean, that's all real-time hours on a combine in here to take care of all the fields. So that goes to show how long just the harvest took, let alone other activities, that I had to do. If there was other cereal grains, canola, there was baling to do, there was a lot of fields worked. You see how many of them I have planted from last fall, so all of that, would have been done following harvest. Well, here we gotta take care of our truck. We get forward a little bit. Yeah, I wish a train could come over here. I'd have to mod this some more to get the train to unload directly in here. And that's maybe the ultimate fix, that I need to do on here, but right now, this is what I'll have to do. But there's just been a lot of time put in here, and over an extended period of time. And it's, for a while, I kind of put it away. Was doing other things and kind of just let it sit there on the ice, knowing that it was sitting there in winter, and so there wasn't much to do anyway. So we kind of had to dig it out from all of that. But how long, do you guys play a map, and not in terms of hours, but over a period of time? And maybe I'm the only nut here, well, I know I'm not the only one enjoying some of these older versions of Farming Sim. This is several versions behind, but what can I say? I still enjoy this map, and there's several others, but I guess I'd have to check. I don't know that this came forward all the way from 17 to 22. I know that a version of it, I think it started in 15 actually. Then the map author put one into 17, and then I think there was one that made it to 19, a version of Cornbelt. But I don't know that it was an authorized version. I think some other person did it, and I don't know, maybe it was a good job, but I kind of think I saw some versions of it maybe that were a hack job too. Sometimes I think people get so excited or enjoy a particular map or whatever or whatever mod, that they try to convert it. They do a rush job, they throw it out there, and it's kind of a pile of junk. Not always, but a lot of times that happens, and sometimes you're just better off waiting for the original mapper to take care of all that. And that's not only sometimes the best thing to do, it's the most polite thing to do too when it's someone else's creation. So, I'm trying to remember how much we loaded. We did a full train load, and here we go again. I think this is load number 3, and yeah, maybe what I really need to do is either put something in here that has the appearance of, where if a train pulls alongside over here, that it's dumping into something, create another trigger for the train to dump into, and then have some material handling type equipment that hauls it over to the refinery over here, something like that. Or maybe the train gets rerouted over to this particular track, and so the train can just dump it straight into the refinery. One of those two things, because if we were able to dump it right into the refinery, then of course we could avoid having to do, what we're doing right now, which is haul a lot of thing by truck. It's kind of a funny, it's that, you see a full truck, it's 1986.44, I think it's bushels. So I do have a mod in here that's a unit converter, and, who's that made by? Thunder? I don't know if any of you have heard of Thunder before. Not that I hardly know what a bushel is versus a liter, but I do know what a gallon is, so I do appreciate seeing that. But I gotta say, in many ways, seeing 70,000 liters down there, which is I believe how much this trailer holds, versus whatever that number was for bushels, the 70,000 is almost more meaningful to me than that, even though technically I think this would be measured in bushels in my country here. So here we sit, and you're probably seeing one of the reasons why, after I made a boatload of money, I mean, we really don't need this. I'm kind of just showcasing something that's in this map, the ability to make fuel. But after making a lot of money doing it, I kind of had the thing jammed full of oil, and I just wasn't doing much, with it. And the only reason is I don't need the money, and this is kind of a pain in the neck, to be cycling over here. But, like I say, I'm highly interested if someone remembers this era of horseplay. Is there a way, because I know if you take it out of storage and you take it to a sell point, I know there's a way to get it to do that automatically. It'll do it all day long until it empties out, whatever you have in storage, and it will just sell it on your behalf. But for the life of me, I haven't been able to get it to do it for dumping it into, the factory over there. And it isn't a sell point. It's part of the, and I know I'm not pronouncing this right, fabric script made by, who was that made by? Kevin K98. I think that was one of the modders. The other one is on the tip of my tongue, but I forget his name. Marhu, that's who it was. I think he had his own site for mods too. Unfortunately, it's closed down now. There's a lot of good sites that were closed down. It seems like there's getting to be fewer and fewer of them anymore. And you're having to go to either the main mod hub, that the Giants have, which is generally decent quality that you see there, good mods. Or you gotta go to some dodgy site, that has a whole bunch of pop-up ads and other nefarious things going on in there just to try to find mods anymore. And it just seems, I know there's a lot of places on Facebook you can go to find mods. It's just, I know I lamented in another video that the failure, the breakdown of many of the forums that we used to have, where people could ask questions, people could learn things about modding, and now it's just kind of all done by separate teams here and there. Sometimes they get together and it's just hard to find knowledge on how to do it anymore. And I feel real fortunate to have been able to be part of places like FSUK. That was a wonderful site. Met a lot of neat people there. Lots and tons of information on there on how to mod, and I'm grateful for what I can learn there. Alright, here we go again. And we should be able to monitor this. Yeah, we're getting over 200-some-thousand liters in there. And probably, I don't know if we have it in here. Nope, we don't. But probably there's the fuel valve back here. Sorry for bouncing around. Probably somewhere in here, I would guess, that says how much fuel. Well, wait a minute. No, this is input for oil. Sorry, it'd be down here, I think, for the fuel output. So, and I think I described this one other time. It used to be that you could take fuel output in a train, but you could never take it to a place, where you could sell it. There is a place to sell it, but in order to take it to that sell point, you had to put it in your tanker truck, tractor trailer unit, and haul it down there. And I did that many, 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 many times. And like I say, this is where the blessing of Courseplay was, where it would do that. And I'm trying to remember if you might have had to babysit that one also, but you just couldn't do it on the train. And I finally fixed that, and the only way I could fix it was by literally adding another train to the map. And it was horribly tedious. Took a ton of time, but I'm glad I have it in there now. Just the original didn't have it. I think in the original you could haul fuel off in a train, but you could only use it for your own, the player consumption, if you will. So you could, fill up your own tractors and whatnot with it, but that was all. So you could take it on a train, and you could take it to various places around the map where they had some storage tanks for it, but I definitely wanted to be able to do more than that. So, in the past, what I've done is I've basically just turned this guy loose and just periodically tried to check on him. So, maybe what I could have done was, when we turned him loose up here, was go check somewhere else. And maybe what I could do while he's running is at least go in and check our animals. And you know what? They're all clean. They're all fed. We have absolutely nothing to do on the animals. Well, that's just great. Although we're probably getting a bunch of wool up there ready to haul. I kind of almost think the building was filling up there with wool pallets. But at the moment, we've just hauled canola, canola, canola. And as you can see down here in all these fields, we are surrounded by canola. So in some ways, I don't even know why I planted the fields to all of this. You know, really, it's always a question as to when a person is done playing a map. And you know what? When I look at my cash up there, 101 million, I will never, I could easily go buy a bunch more fields, give myself a bunch more work, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I guess that all depends. But at some point, a person is done playing a map, and maybe what I need to realize is I'm done, and I just don't hardly know it. Because all I'm doing right now is going to be earning more money, more, and I don't need more. I'm already have plenty of money for anything I ever could possibly want in here, and so there's no need to continue it, except to show all you fine folks what I happen to do in here. So anyway, I think we just heard our timer go, so it means we're done with this episode. So I'm gonna end it here, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you for coming along for a little while. Y'all have a great day.